don't know about you, but I really do find it interesting how so many people now seem to think that Dave Smith is kind of like the premier expert when it comes to all things wars, especially when it comes down to knowing about Israel, Palestine, that kind of conflict. But I've said this quite consistently, actually, with all the videos that are made about Dave Smith and all the debates that he's been on currently. And seemingly he's on a number of them because he's got a massive platform, no doubt about that. He is a grifter. He's making a great deal of money from his grift. It's quite incredible to see. And to me, when you listen to him speak, he is very good at talking, excellent at talking, right? You can always tell between someone that is very, very good at talking that if you think about what they're saying for more than 10 seconds, you actually realize they're a dingbat and they make not much sense whatsoever. But then when you listen to someone that is actually using facts and logic, combating someone that is highly emotional, and that's exactly what Dave Smith is. And I've said it so many times. Now, recently I made a video that people got relatively mad at me and saying that Dave Smith wasn't humiliated by Charlie Kirk or Josh Hammer during the Turning Point USA event. And I mean, credit to Dave Smith again for showing up at a Turning Point USA event. What I found really interesting, though, is the amount of people in the audience that were applauding Dave Smith when he was talking some of the times. Like, that is relatively concerning to me, especially at a Turning Point USA event. Now, what Charlie Kirk has created with Turning Point, no doubt about it, is honestly amazing. But I am really beginning to get concerned about the direction that Turning Point is actually heading in. Same with Charlie Kirk. So they call themselves conservatives, but yet they're allowing a libertarian to come on in who has said that Trump needs to be impeached and he's a war criminal. He's all these other things. He's not actually an expert at all. Dave Smith is a failed comedian, man. He's not even funny. But anyway, that all being said, I showed a clip at the very beginning of the actual debate, by the way, of Josh Hammer coming with receipts using Dave Smith's very own words at the start of the debate to show everybody this is the kind of guy I'm about to debate. Someone who is highly emotional. He said these words. Does Dave Smith defend those words? Of course he does. They're his words. But after Josh Hammer laid down the hammer on Dave Smith and his the very things that Dave Smith has actually said in the past about Trump, about Israel, you name it, this is exactly what Dave Smith did. And it shows you all, it shows every single one of you, if you're listening, just how emotional this guy is and how much of the smokes and mirrors kind of trickery he loves to do. Don't look over here. Look over here, please, and listen to my emotive voice. They're coming after me, not the points, but he missed it all together. Have a watch of this.
12-day work. Is that, let's stay focused on that.
Yeah.
We can.
Well, the thing, Charlie,
but defend yourself,
Sure.
obviously.
Well, the thing is, Charlie, as you may have noticed, and some of you may have seen some of my other debates, every single time I come up here to debate issues, and they come up here to debate me and my character. It's all they have every single time. Because they can't actually take on any of the arguments. And so the most pathetic, low-hanging fruit of, you guys like Trump, this guy said bad things about Trump. Listen, guys, I'm a free American. I supported Donald Trump in this last election. Yes, he did just actively cover up a giant child rapist ring, and I'm going to criticize him for that, okay? And I'm sorry, after all these years of us right-wingers saying, protect the children, come on, that's bad for your soul if you don't. You speak up about that. It's
Okay, so the first bit that I want to point out is after Josh Hammer said all the things that Dave Smith has said in the past that are negative against Trump, negative, you name it, he goes, oh, it's the one thing, every time I come up here and debate, they always want to debate me, my character. Dave, what character have you actually got? I'm failing to see that you've got good character. People are debating what you have said because what you have said reflects your character. It's not good, what you've said. Hence why they're pointing it out. Or have you Forgotten that. Every single time you come on to debate, you don't actually debate the subject matters, and your responses, if you think about it for more than 10 seconds, make no sense, especially when you pit it up against actual facts. You've got nothing when it comes to facts. Josh Hammer came with facts. So did Charlie Kirk. I watched the debate. It was a very interesting debate. Yes, Dave Smith made some very interesting points at times. One in particular was at the very end of the video I just showed you about how he's criticizing Trump for covering up the Jeffrey Epstein ring operation. I'm all for Dave Smith. Actually, I agree with him. I'm all for him criticizing Trump because personally, what I have been seeing at the moment with the cover up of Jeffrey Epstein, it is sick. What about the victims, man? You're telling me that Jeffrey Epstein was just some sick, twisted guy that had child porn on his computer. No, it goes a lot deeper than that. And we're not stupid, okay? But besides that, besides him doing that, he's trying to deflect. He's trying to go everywhere. Every time I come up here to debate, you're not really debating the issues, but they are. If you watch or listen to any of the debates, especially the one with Douglas Murray, and now the one with Josh Hammer, but there's been several others that I've commented on in the past whereby the person that has been debating Dave Smith has wiped the floor of him. But, you know, like Natasha Hertzstoff, for example, she came with facts. But nah, it was all emotion. And these days, when you go into a debate, it seems like emotion seems to get people a lot more than actual facts. So let's forget about the facts. Let's go straight for the emotion. Josh Hammer beat Dave Smith. So did Charlie Kirk. Loads of people online left comments saying, oh, Dave Smith won, you know, all that sort of other stuff. Because, and they don't say why. Why did Dave Smith win? Oh, he had better arguments. Point out what arguments he made that were better than Josh Hammer's or Charlie's. The only valid argument against Dave Smith is a personal one because Dave Smith is a con. His arguments are nothing more than a mix of half-truths, cherry-picked quotes, and highly anecdotal facts. He wraps it up in a shallow, philosophizing, and superficial analogies. Like you can always tell, someone that is very, very good at talking sounds exactly like Dave Smith. Tucker does it very well too. Don't know if you've noticed that. Same with Candace Owens. Same with Daryl Cooper as well. When called out, he plays the victim. Exactly what he did in that clip. Pretends to be misunderstood, cries about censorship, and sometimes reports to insults. Dave Smith and Ian Carroll are cut from the same cloth. Dave is just more popular. Both are con people. There's no point engaging either of them in a genuine debate about facts or truth. That's not what they're there for. What Dave really wants is to drag you in his swamp of conspiracies and whataboutism. He's built a career on it. That's why the only meaningful thing to say about Dave Smith is this. Dave Smith is a con, and cons need to be called out. And I've been doing that for quite some time. Every time I see a debate and Dave Smith is a part of it, unless Dave Smith has made a sound, logical, truthful argument, which I have not seen, I will say that this argument, he made some interesting points. Doesn't mean that they're sound or logical, but he made some interesting points nonetheless. But Josh Hammer still wiped the floor with him, with facts, with reason, with rationale. That's important to distinct between what Dave Smith was saying. I think even Charlie could see it as well. But you know what? These people nowadays, they're very good at the provocative, right? Say the most provocative thing in the world, people are going to believe it and gravitate towards you instead of actually speaking the truth. Dave Smith actually thanked Charlie Kirk for having him at Turning Point USA. It was a fantastic event, he said, and it's inspiring to see so many young people who are passionate about the future of our country. The more I see Dave Smith speak, the more I realize he's actually not that smart. educated or good at logic/debating. No, he's not. He's a failed comic who sucks at comedy and sucks at this. This untalented grifter trying to make a buck, which is pretty sad. So here is the closing arguments of Dave Smith. I want you to watch and leave a comment about what you think in regards to his closing argument. So me personally, I'll let you know after you've watched this what I think.
Look, I think if you guys are being honest with yourselves, and I do think we should really think about the threats that we really do face here at home. And I'm talking about the Democrats coming back into power. And forget all these made-up threats about other countries that really can't mess with us at all. I don't know if you guys have noticed, and you could say it's a very online debate all you want to. This hasn't been a good month for Donald Trump. His base is really kind of turning on each other, and these are major issues that are dividing his coalition. And this is J.D. Vance winning in a few years is not a given. You know, like the Democrats are going to come back and offer someone. And if we want to have a chance to keep progress going and to get our country in a better place, what we have to do is reject empire and return to being a republic that we were supposed to be. The United States of America was never supposed to be an empire. We were supposed to be a republic, a constitutional republic, a city on a hill that the world could learn from our example because we do liberty so much better than anybody else does. And we've gotten so far away from that over the years. And like I mentioned at the beginning, look, this is the big point. We're going broke. We can't afford to do this anymore. It shouldn't even be a question of whether we should be giving Israel money or whether we should be giving Ukraine money, as Donald Trump's also decided to do this year. We don't have it. This is like me taking out money on a credit card to lend to my friends so I can act like I'm the big shot who's lending them money. We are destroying our own young people. You, not me. I'm not a young person. I'm fine. I'm in my 40s and I make good money. Your whole generation is getting screwed over by this because we have to devalue our currency in order to keep up with the demands for this spending that we cannot afford. And so the answer is that we need to pull back. We need to focus on America. That's what America First is supposed to be about. Sound money, fiscal sanity, and true liberty, true free market capitalism. Not a government that spends $7 trillion a year and a crazy casino system on Wall Street with these incredibly low interest rates where people are making tens of millions of dollars off just, speculating on nonsense. And this is it's the warfare state that drives it. Look, guys, we have spent $20 trillion since the collapse of the Soviet Union. The war in Iraq and Afghanistan are over, and we're looking at our biggest defense budget ever. This is madness, and it will be the death of our country. No Islamist is going to take down our country, but drowning in debt and empire will. That's how great nations fall. And the young Republicans need to reject that. A republic, not an empire, like the great Pat Buchanan said.
I personally don't think that the MAGA base, because Josh Hammer had the stats about what MAGA really thinks, which is very important. There's only a small little section that includes Dave Smith. They want this divide to go on, right? I want to divide MAGA. MAGA has always been divided. Let's increase this narrative. It's a false narrative that they constantly push, right? Dave is very good at it. Candace is very good at it. I don't know if you've seen it, but I have personally started to see it more and more. But Dave saying, don't worry about other countries at all destroying America. We don't need to worry about them at all. We need to worry more about our military spending. So the less military spending that we have, the better it will be for America. Now, keep in mind that America is the number one military power on earth. Second, I think, is China. Third is Russia. So America is the stability, the beacon of strength. And you guys, the Americans, spend trillions of dollars on your defense budget for damn well good reason, too. But Dave Smith's argument was we shouldn't be spending all this money to create more wars. I hate to break it to you, Dave, but you don't have wars going on in America currently. You've got wars going on in Ukraine and Russia. You've got Israel versus the Hamas conflict. You've got that going on. And then you had 12-day war where no American lives were lost. And in fact, it was a net positive. But you don't see that. You need to have strength to bring about peace. Do you not? Now, again, I'm not for wars, but I do believe that in order to have peace, you have to show strength. Otherwise, you're just going to get toppled. Like Australia at the moment, we are looking very, very weak to China and to all our other enemies. And NATO recently said we need to start spending more on our defense budget. Why is that? I wonder. So Dave Smith can go all he likes with his closing arguments and say, we shouldn't be spending all this money. We don't need to worry about, radical Islamists. We don't need to worry about them. Just we need to worry about too much spending because we're in a great deal of debt. What do you think Trump's trying to do at the moment, mate? With tariffs. Sometimes you got to be a little bit forceful on certain things in order to get stuff done. Being a weakling is not going to get you anywhere. And Trump is a strong leader. People can see that. Hence why deals are getting done. But Dave Smith doesn't really seem to see that at all. Unless it works for Dave Smith, he's going to let everybody know that Trump is the baddie. Trump needs to be impeached. He's a war criminal. He's all these things, which he's not. And who the hell does Dave Smith think that he is? Seriously, why should we listen to Dave Smith? He's making no sense. That's his closing arguments, ladies and gentlemen. And if that is the case, the next generation who were clapping Dave Smith for saying such a thing, we're doomed. The next generation of young people go, we don't need to have a massive defense budget at all. Forget that. What's the point in having that? Crazy, isn't it? Anyway, that's enough from me, but you guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.